Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin really and the Dixie. So it's just a continuation now, I suppose, a ramping up of the expectation that we've had for what seems to be probably weeks now, which is that dollar strength will impact on crypto and stocks and commodities alike, and as a result, maybe not particularly bring it down, although that does often happen, especially when the Dixie is this strong. But it will stop it from making new all-time highs immediately. And what we're waiting for really is a rejection, and we've marked off these areas where we are potentially going to get rejected from. We're quite close to one right now, to be honest with you. First major area is going to be this 200 exponential moving average, about 94 to between 94 to 94.2, you could call it, maybe even a little higher. And then second to that is going to be the holy grail of 95, and I would be surprised to see it get that high, but it's definitely possible. But I would be surprised to see it get that high. It's also the top of this cloud. So again, this has been analysis in the making. We've been waiting for this to play out. And the other day when we had that pullback for crypto, that was one thing where I said, look, I'm not particularly interested in going too hard and heavy here, because that my expectation is that the dollar is going to break out. So it's not really for me an area to go long from. And I'm not a massive margin trader. I only ever do those sort of margin trades if I'm extremely comfortable in a trade. And for the moment, I'll be waiting for the Dixie to find those levels. Like I say, we are quite close. Marking them off on price is it's okay to do it, because we're mainly using a weekly here, but it's 94.1 to 94 to 94.2, I suppose, thereabouts. And if it goes any further, 95. So we'll have to see where that goes, and if it does move up to those levels, which I think it will, but we are talking like daily, weekly time frames here, so don't expect these things to happen immediately. And obviously, if anything takes place in the Fed, that I know there's a meeting. Is it later on today or maybe tomorrow? Those things can often have an impact on it, but and that would be a negative impact on a Dixie and a positive impact on anything pegged to it. So we'll just have to wait and see how those play out. But as far as the chart's concerned, the dollar index is pretty strong. We've got a golden cross here above all major moving averages, and if we bring it down to the short-term time frames, which count really when you're looking at forex charts, we do have a nice setup as well. So we're above the cloud, golden crossed as well. Conversion baseline crossover here, so it's pretty much bullish on every time frame. But for those of you that are just thinking about crypto, don't expect massive, huge candle bodies. This is a dollar index. It's going to creep. It's going to crawl, and it's going to get rejected. And it's at that rejection where the party will continue. But for the moment, it doesn't look like the party wants to continue any further. So I'm over here on the Binance futures chart, because spot trading's temporarily suspended because of some upgrade taking place on the platform. So that's fine. So I don't have any of my analysis. But even so, what we're looking at here is a descending. I suppose we could look at it as a descending triangle formation, right? It's a bit of we're coming towards the apex of that as well, if you think about it, which is never a good place to be, because the longer it takes for us to play out any kind of formation like this, the weaker it's going to be. So this is your descending resistance. This is your flat, more or less flat level of support on the. I wouldn't say the 200 exponential here. That is obviously a milestone that needs to either be kept or broken. But if you think about this area here, so this is where the wicks are coming down to. Let's just take a look at that number, 40,000. We'll call it 40,700, right? So remember that. Let's have a look at the weekly and see what is special about that number. It's the 20 weekly. Look, it's exactly the 20 weekly. 40,700, give or take, just less than that. So that's what's holding us up at the moment, and that's a major area of support. And we all know that obviously being above there is good. Every day that we're above there gives it a chance to level out, and then obviously start with an uptrend. It's only when we get an uptrend on this that we can really start to get, think about being bullish. It's nice to be above the 20 weekly, but when it's descending like this, it's still good to be above it, but it's not pointing to the direction you want to go in. Basically means that every week, until it at least levels out and goes horizontal, supports are lower and lower, so prices will be lower and lower. Anyway, I'm not particularly bearish on the chart overall, especially on the weekly, but until we get that rejection on the dollar, and then we can start to play out the actual chart that we're looking at here, and not be subject to the broader market, which is what I suppose is what that my analysis is referring to. For the moment, this is kind of the vibe, really. This is pretty much the vibe. We could look at it in two levels. We could look at it as this descending trend line here. We could also think about it as an uptrend of support, which is one way to think about it. Alternatively, we could think about it, excuse me, in terms of this, which is, you know, if you're super bullish, we've got our 41,000 area of support resistance, which is more or less where we're trying to hold above here. We'll just move that up a bit here. Bit messy because this is the Binance futures chart. Haven't normally used this as an analysis. And obviously, you know, futures with funding discrepancies. It's not the best one to chart out. But these are two ways you could look at it. If you're super bullish, then we would like to hold above here, and this will be the area that we'll be playing within, which would mean that you could easily find a decent bounce from here, and this could be the bottom. If we break down from here, then we could think about it come down to 35,000 or so, and that's one area of support that we could consider. But basically, we would at that stage be below the 200 exponential, which would mean that we'd be thinking of lower prices anyway, or at least would be on the back foot for lower prices. Thinking of the weekly now, we're still ticking down on the histogram. Obviously, we're only Wednesday now, so we've got plenty of the week left to close. But if we do close with a red histogram here, it is a bearish cross on the weekly, so it might mean further to go. So again, it's a wait and see, and I'm not really particularly making any kind of calls until we get a confirmed rejection from the Dixie, and then it will be a lot easier for us to determine how to interpret the Bitcoin chart. Until the dollar has finished with its with its uptrend that it's in at the moment, it's going to be difficult to really make any kind of specific decision about how to play the market. Any market, whether that's crypto, gold, forex, I suppose, to an extent, but commodities, anything that's pegged against the dollar, it's going to be harder to make that decision until the dollar has had enough. And my expectation is that it's getting close to having enough, between 94.2, maybe 95 at tops, and that would be an excellent place to go long, in my opinion, on pretty much anything, whether it's gold, silver, palladium. I don't know about oil, but probably even oil. And obviously crypto and stocks, but until we get to that level, there could be significant pain and downside for anything that's pegged against the dollar. So let's just sit back, wait and see how it all goes. And like I say, I've limited my exposure a few days back now, and I'm happy with that. And if we continue to go up, that's fine. I'll look for confirmation and maybe enter it at higher levels, but I'm not willing to expose myself unnecessarily when the chart is basically a 50-50 situation in the short term. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.